Hi, crafty friends. This is Amanda. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Michigan. Thanks for taking a few moments out of your busy day to watch my channel and my 35th video. I really appreciate it. Today, we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be making one card in about real time using the Flower and Field Designer Series paper. You get 2 sheets of each design, and there are 6 designs in this pack. So you get 12 sheets. There's actually 12 designs because they're double-sided. So you get 12 sheets of double-sided paper. These are the patterns we're going to be using today. As you know, I am trying to use some of my DSP. I don't normally use DSP, so I'm trying to focus on it, especially the Saleabration. We're going to need some basic white, some granny apple green, and some shaded spruce. We'll also need some vellum. We're going to be taking this large stamp from Happiest at Birthdays, this large sentiment, Happy Birthday sentiment. This is so funny, guys. I'm going to be taking out the second to the largest stitched circle die, showing you it, and then putting it back like we don't need it, but we do. So I'll get that out in just a few seconds. We're going to be cutting that with vellum, and my vellum is smashed. This is not Stampin' Up's vellum. This is a lighter weight. Just from the craft store, I need to pick some up from Stampin' Up, which is a heavy cardstock. Then we're going to need the third largest stitched rectangle die and this leaf die from Pretty Perennials. And here we go, taking it back out. I already have the vellum cut, so maybe that's why I didn't think that we needed it out, but I'm going to grab it out. All right, guys, I'm going to use the Stamparatus to stamp this large sentiment. That way, if I screw up, I don't actually waste a piece of paper. And I know I'm going to screw up with this large sentiment. I'm going to place my basic white with the corners lined up, and then I'm going to place my stamp somewhere in the middle to the top of that piece of paper so I can have a nice even border around the stamp when I cut it out with that rectangle. Just going to place it there, and then the U and the have a pretty straight script to it, so I'm going to use those 2 words to line up. There are grids on my plate, my Stamparatus plate, and then I will have a straight sentiment on my cardstock. It'll be easier for my rectangle to be cut out of it because I can just, everything will be straight and nice from all the corners. I'm going to ink this up with Flirty Flamingo, but you could do it with Bumblebee or Cherry Cobbler, lots of different things. Then I'm going to give light pressure over the stamp to transfer the ink down. I'm not going to go from side to side. I'm just going to give it some light pressure. It's not perfect, so I'm going to do it again, bring my arm down, and then give a little bit more pressure. I normally don't have to stamp it twice, but this ink was not exactly spreading out very well and being very even, but it will when it dries. I didn't think about that until right now. Oh yeah, it'll even out. It always does. So I'm going to put that to the side, and then because red ink stains photopolymer stamps, I've gotten into the habit to always clean my stamps with my Simply Shammy right after I ink up a stamp, right after I'm done with it. So even though this is not photopolymer, this is red rubber, I still do it. I'm going to take out my die cutting machine here and place my die so that my sentiment is centered. Sorry about that. And then I'll run it through my machine. This machine has seen better days. It's quite old, and I think I'm going to have to break down and buy another manual machine. I was going to hold out for the electronic machine that was coming out, but it was supposed to be out last August, and now it's looking out like it's going to be this October or so because of crappy coronavirus. Boo-hoo. So I think I'm going to have to break down and buy the Stampin' Up! One. I've heard some great things about it, so I might as well grab that one. Now, if I was smart, I would have moved my leaf a little bit over to save some paper, but since I have that magnetic platform, it does what it wants. I can't wait to get the Stampin' Up! One so that I don't have to deal with this magnetic platform. But I'm just going to take my fingers and get out all the bits after running that through the die cutting machine. Next, I'm going to take shaded spruce and cut out the same die, you can see I already cut it out once for my sample card. And I'll run that through the machine as well. And this time I'm going to take your pick tool to get out all those bits while the die is still with the paper. You see the paper is still in the die? Since it wouldn't come out, I just decided to take your pick tool, which is very sharp, so be careful. You don't know how many times I've stuck myself. It's like a little needle, well, a big needle. So be careful. Make sure you keep the lid on that whenever you are not using it too. And then I'll just poke all those out and try to get it from this very staticky mat. I might as well get all the other bits too. All right, this Flower and Field Designer Series paper has Bumblebee, Cherry Cobbler, Flirty Flamingo, Granny Apple Green, Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie, Shaded Spruce, So Saffron, and White in its combinations. I'm glad they all look wonderful together. And oh, I did show you that I cut out that vellum a little bit beforehand, so I didn't have to do it again. We're going to be making a card base, a 7 by 10. So we're going to cut it at 10 inches and then flip it over. We're going to cut it at 7 inches to make an A7 card or a 5 by 7 card. And then we're going to score it here at 5 inches by using the light blade. The light one is our scoring blade, and we'll just take it back and forth a few times. Then we're going to cut this Designer Series paper strategically, and we're going to cut that by 3.5 by 6 3/4. And I wanted to keep those Flirty Flamingo flowers in, so that's why I had to make sure which way was up. And I'm like, oh wait, I forgot one more. Then I want to go against the lines here and cut out about 1 inch from the side. And I need to cut this again at 6 3/4. I'm going to be gluing this on the other piece of paper, so only about 1/2 inch will be showing. So somewhere around 1 inch is perfect. And I can go on to the other side of the trimmer for that. So that's the side I scored on, so I'm going to flip it over and then fold it back on itself. And I choose to use a silicone, Teflon bone folder instead of a regular bone folder, and I'll show you why in just a second. I'm going to grab my regular bone folder here, and I'm going to scrape my scrap piece of paper. Do you see the sheen that it leaves? Now, my Teflon bone folder will leave an indentation, but it won't leave a sheen. And that's why I like to not score. I use my other blade for scoring. I like to crease with my Teflon bone folder. I'm going to use just some glue here, and I use art glitter glue. It doesn't stay sticky after it dries, and that's why I prefer art glitter glue. Tombo adhesive is great for many things, but it does stay sticky after it dries. So if you need a sticky glue after it dries, Tombo Mono Glue is amazing, but I like to use the art glitter glue when I don't want it sticky afterwards. And since I'm putting two pieces together here and I'm never quite, I always use too much glue, then I will use this art glitter glue. And then I'll just put some on the back and place it over to the left-hand side, leaving a small border. There we go. I love these papers. What do you think, guys? They're beautiful. Then I'm going to take my very large sentiment, and I had a very difficult time making these cards because I was using this large sentiment. Let me know if you guys had it easier because you were making A2 size cards, or if you found it difficult because it took up most of the area, so you didn't know exactly what to do. Because I do an A7 size card, I had to make this sentiment fit. Now, I do this wrong here. I did make a sample card, and it took me literally 3 hours to make one card of this one because I really did not know what I wanted to do, and I played and I played and I played until I came up with this design. I did use some sketches, but I don't think I followed very many of them. Might have put 2 or 3 together or something. But this vellum piece does not belong here on the right, the side right. It belongs on the lower right. But I'm going to use my take your pick tool again to take off all those release papers And then I'm going to plop this down here, and I'm not going to be happy with it because, of course, it's not right. So after I press it down, I'm going to lift it up. Now, I don't have any problems lifting it up this time because it wasn't straight, but in a little bit, I'll think, oh, wait, this is not where that goes. And you can choose to put your shaded spruce or your granny apple green in front, whichever one you like. My granny apple green had a little crease in it, so I decided to put that in the back. And then I'm just going to use some of this liquid adhesive again to glue those together. You could have used a glue dot too. And see, this is where I'm like, wait a minute, it's supposed to go right here. And then I look, oh, sorry about that. Can't remember my own design. Whoops-a-daisies. So I'm just going to now pull that way up where it belongs and put the circle down there. There we go. And then I'm going to put this on these two little leaves or filigrees or whatever you want to call them on the paper. Now, I did tear my paper this time, so I used a little liquid glue to fix it. And then I'm going to use an element to cover that up. I'll just glue this down a little bit. Like I said, I could have used some glue dots, but they were way on the other side, and I'll get them in a second here to use my bow, because all I think it needs is a little bow. I love all these happy colors together. It reminds me of spring. What do you think? It needs a little something extra. I agree. I'm going to put a little bow here. Well, first I'm going to stick this down where I should have. And pop it up maybe too with my Barbie dimensionals in a second. Just judging it, like Laura Basson says, making sure it looks perfect. Then I'm going to make my bow on my spool so I don't waste any. This way I found that you don't waste extra because you have to cut more, you know what I'm saying? So just use it on your spool to save some extra twine. You might get a whole extra bow out of it if you use it. What you really do with glue dots is you remove the release paper and then take your element to the glue dot. I don't know why this worked of putting my glue dot down on my element and releasing it. It never really does, but that's how you do it. So I'm going to take my Barbie dimensionals, that's why I call these little baby ones, because they look Barbie size, and put it underneath my leaf vine, my branch, so that you can't really see it, because you can see everything through vellum. And then when you take it away, you can't see it because it's behind something. And that's how you hide, you pop up vellum, you hide it. I cut out, or I punched out actually, a little dragonfly with this dragonfly punch and added 2 rhinestones just in case. And I didn't know that I was going to need him this soon, but there's, like I said, there's that little damage on that paper. And I'm going to now correctly do the glue dot, bring my element to the glue dot and pull it up. There we go. Crazy Amanda. And then hide the damage with my little vellum dragonfly. He's a cutie. Now I'm going to take your pick tool and change over to the spatula. I love being able to change over to my spatulas. I actually bought 3 or 4 of these take your pick tools so I can have them all around my room. And then I'm going to strategically place some rhinestones, and I'm going to use that dragonfly rhinestone as one of the 3 for the triangle, so it's visually appealing, because you always want to do 3s in triangle. Now I'm going to take and do my inside panel, and all of my panels, my base panel and my inside panel are all the same size. They're 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. And I'll just cut that again and pop that in the middle after I add some adhesive. This time I'm going to be using some of Stampin Seal. I love how strong this adhesive is. I was not a fan of snail, so I'm glad that Stampin' Up! Brought in this adhesive. Now, in this Happiest of Birthdays, they have this sentiment that's pretty scripty and great. I really like the script. I think it says, it's your day, enjoy it. And it's really fun. Someone wrote it out and then, enjoy it. It's just typed out. But I really like the script, and it stamps very nicely. I love putting them on blocks that are strategically sized so we don't have to have any extra block space and then get ink on that block and then have the block get ink on our paper. Now, again, I put my stamp down and I made sure that it was straight. So everything was straight on my stamp block, and then it was easily to put straight on my card. I think that you guys could put some flowers or something on the side here. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to zhuzh up this inside after I think about it. You guys have a very fabulous day. I hoped you liked the card. Let me know in the comment section below, and if you did, maybe you'll subscribe. Thanks again, guys.